Hey there, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to continue reading the first book of Left Behind the Kids series. I think I'm up to chapter 8 right now. Yeah, I'm up to chapter 8. Lionel and Uncle Andre in book 1, The Vanishings. Let me continue reading. Let me pick up where I left off. Page 105. Chapter 8, Lionel and Uncle Andre. There was no clock in the basement of the Washington home where Lionel and his uncle slept soundly. Lionel never had to worry about getting up on time. His father made some racket before he pulled out at 6 every morning. Then Lionel's mother made sure everybody was up in the process of getting ready for school by the time she left at 7. I don't know what you kids are going to do when you're out on your own, she often said. I'm creating monsters who don't move until they're told. It seemed too bright, too late when Lionel awoke. He'd always been a slow riser in a cloud until he got up and moved around, went to the bathroom, got breakfast. This morning he didn't feel like moving. He merely opened his eyes, squinted at the sun, rays that somehow found their way through the tiny basement windows, and watched dust dance in the columns of light. Lionel was on his back, staring at the floorboards, wiring, and ductwork in the basement ceiling. This is a scary place in the dark of night. He never slept here alone. Lionel had a vague recollection of Andre slipping out of bed sometime after midnight, he guessed. Andre sometimes sneaked out of the house for a smoke, because Andre always slept so soundly after that. Lionel's father once wondered aloud if Andre was smoking something stronger than tobacco, and when Andre spent more time than necessary in the tiny bathroom in the basement, even Lionel wondered if he was taking drugs. When Andre came back from whatever he was doing, he would collapse onto the sofa bed with Lionel wouldn't seem to move a muscle for hours. It was not uncommon for Uncle Andre to still be sleeping, in the same position, even after Lionel's mother had come down to roast Lionel out of bed. They might argue or crab at each other, usually just in fun, and they were never quiet. But Uncle Andre remained dead to the world. Once Lionel's mother had made the mistake of trying to rouse Andre too. He was so out of it, angry that he just apologized and never tried again. He got up when he got up, and that was often very late in the morning. This morning Lionel couldn't even hear Andre breathing. He turned to make sure his uncle was alive. There he lay, on his stomach, his face turned away from Lionel. The slow, rhythmic heaving off his back told Lionel that Andre was fine, but he sure was quiet. Lionel heard the phone ring upstairs. His mother or Clarice would answer it. They always did. Lionel's father often urged his wife to let the answering machine screen calls when they were trying to get ready for work and school, or when they were having a meal or sleeping. But Lucinda Washington made it clear to the family she hated answering machines. Theirs was off as long as anyone was in the house. Last one could turn it on so it could serve the purpose it was designed for, she would say. Not so we can screen calls or get lazy. It's for catching calls when we're away. Period. This morning the phone kept ringing, and Lionel heard no footsteps upstairs. Maybe it was earlier than I thought. He sat up feeling that fogginess and heaviness that made him move so slowly every morning. No one was answering the phone. What time was it anyway? Lionel groaned and whipped up the blankets. Uncle Andre did not stir. Lionel felt the chill of the basement as he moved stiff-legged down toward the stairs. Passing a window, he noticed his father's pickup truck in the driveway blocking the garage door where his mother's car was parked. It is early, Lionel decided. Who'd be calling at this time of the morning? Lionel was in his underwear, and his mother didn't want him parading around that way now that you were a teenager, but he thought she might forgive him if he answered the phone for her. But wasn't she or Dad answering it? They had an extension phone on their bed table. The phone rang and rang, but Lionel was in no hurry. The phone number was never for him anyway. He would answer it only because it woke him and there was something else to do. Anyway, he was curious. The kitchen was at the top of the stairs. The lights were off. No one was up. He reached for the phone. It was Verna Z from his mother's office. Hi, hon, she said. Lionel, isn't it? Yes, ma'am. Is she there? Who? Your mother, of course. I think so. She's not up yet. Not up. She's usually the first one here. Lionel glanced at the wall clock, stunned. It was late morning. I'm pretty sure her car's still here. You want me to wake her? No, I work for her, not the other way around. The only reason I let the phone rings for so long is I know someone's always there if the machine doesn't pick up. Lionel wished he were still in bed. It's just that on the big news day like this, I'd expect her before now. Lionel had no idea what Verna was talking about, neither did he care. Big news for adults is rarely big news for him. You want me to tell her you called? Please. Oh, and also I have a message for your sister. Which one? Clarice. Her friend Vicky called and wants Clarice to call her. You know her? No, but I heard Reese talk about her. Well, she sounds real anxious to talk to Clarice. Verna gave him the number, and Lionel promised to pass along the message. Lionel didn't know why everyone was sleeping in. He just wanted to enjoy it. Everyone was sleeping in. He just wanted to enjoy it. He could head back downstairs and catch some more sleep. If the phone didn't wake anyone, why should he? Why shouldn't he? He glanced at the calendar. It was no holiday. Nothing was planned but work and school. He had started back downstairs when he stopped and turned around. Wait, he thought, I could be a hero. I could be the one who keeps everybody from being even more late. Lionel went from the kitchen to the dining room toward the stairs led to the upstairs bedrooms. He opened the door when he noticed something in his peripheral vision. On his dad's easy chair lay the oversized terry cloth robe. Lionel stopped and turned, staring at it. He had never known his father take his robe off outside the bedroom. Though he still in pajamas, he considered it impolite to walk around in public in them, he always said, referring to his own family as the public. Maybe he had been warm. Andre and Lionel had gone to the basement while Dad was still sitting there, nearly dozing. Maybe he shut his robe while half asleep, not thinking. But that wasn't like him. He had always taken great pride in not being able to be one of those husbands whose wife always says to trail him, picking up after him. Lionel moved into the living room, where he noticed his father's slippers on the floor in front of the chair. The robe laid there neatly, arms draped on the sides of the chair almost as Dad's elbows still rested there. When Lionel saw the pajama legs extending from the bottom of the robe and hanging just above the slippers, it was obvious his father had disappeared right out of his pajamas and robe. Though Lionel was always unhurried and deliberate in the lodgy mornings, now it was as his life had switched into a slow motion. He was unaware of his body as he carefully advanced, holding his breath and feeling only the pounding of his heart. The harsh sunlight shone on the robe and picked up sparkling glints of something where Dad's lap should have been. Lionel noticed there his father's tiny contact lenses, his wristwatch, his wedding ring, dental fillings, his dark brown hearing aid, the one he was so proud of because he had saved until he could afford one that he would truly blend with his skin color. Lionel's hand shook as he forced himself to exhale before he exploded. He felt his lips quiver and was aware of the screams he could not let out. He crept forward on his knees and opened the robe to find Dad's pajamas still buttoned all the way up. Lionel recoiled and sat back, his feet under him. Suddenly it hit him. He lowered his face between his knees and sobbed. If this is what he feared it was, he knew it was upstairs. Empty beds, night clothes. Why would everyone be gone? He didn't want to horrify himself. He didn't want to see everything that had been left behind just as he was. He just wanted to know whether he was alone. Lionel ran into the stairs and bounded up two at a time. Little Lucy's bed was empty. Well, it should say little Talia's bed was empty. So was Ronnie's. Lionel was out of breath. He didn't want to panic, but he couldn't control his emotions. It was too perfect that Clarice's tiny room, her open Bible lay on her pillow. He imagined her there as he had noticed so many times lying in her bed reading. The master bedroom was more than he could bear. His parents' bed was still made, his mother's bedclothes draped on one side where it was clear she had been kneeling in prayer. How long wished he had been taken to heaven with his family, that he had been found reading his Bible or praying when Jesus came. Only for the briefest instant did Lionel wonder if he was dreaming. He knew better. This is real. This is the truth. All doubt and question had disappeared. His family had raptured as his church, his pastor, and his parents had taught, and he had been left behind. He had wanted to believe his Uncle Andre when he said that living a good life was one thing, but all this about pie in the sky, by and by in heaven, and the rapture was just so much mumbo-jumbo. Lionel realized that he believed even more than Andre did, but since he had never done anything about it, he had missed out. Uncle Andre was still in the basement, for all Lionel knew. He was still sound asleep. Tears streaming down his face, Lionel hurried back down, forcing himself not to look at his dad's empty clothes on the chair on his way to the kitchen and the basement stairs. On the table, he noticed the message he had just written to Clarice from her friend Vicky. He grabbed it and bounded down the steps. Lionel yanked on his jeans and his shirt that was lacing up his sneakers as he called out to Andre. "You'd better get up, man," he whined, feeling the sobs in his throat. "We're in big trouble." But Andre didn't stir. Lionel sat on the edge of the couch and stared at his unconscious uncle. How would he like to blame Andre anybody for his own failure, but he couldn't. He knew everything his family knew. He had simply not bought into it. The question was now, was it too late? Was there any hope for someone who had been left behind? He suddenly felt older and wiser than his uncle. Andre didn't seem all that cool and wise anymore. Lionel knew something Andre didn't, that they'd both been dead wrong. What was the use of waking Andre now? He would learn the truth soon enough. Let him sleep in ignorance, Lionel decided. This news would ruin the rest of his life. Lionel trudged back up to the kitchen, and slumped into a chair near the phone. Was anyone from his church left behind? Besides him and Andre, he called the church, and the answering machine picked up the pastor's voice announcing when Sundays and Wednesday services were scheduled. He concluded, "Remember, keep looking up, watching, and waiting for the time of the Lord draweth nigh." Lionel stood up to hang up the phone as the announcement continued about how leaving a message after the tone. But suddenly someone picked up the phone. "Hello? Hello, is anyone there?" "Yes," Lionel said. "Who's this?" "This is Freddie." "Freddie, this is Lionel. Who else is there?" Freddie was chairman of the trustee board of the committee that took care of the church and also supervised the ushers. Freddie was then often at the church working or organizing the maintenance. "Nobody, Lionel. Nobody else is here but me. Old Mr. Hazel's clothes are here, but he was the only one in the building last night playing night watchman when the trumpet sounded." "When the what?" "Oh, I didn't hear it, Lionel. If I'd heard it, I'd be gone, and so would you. But you're calling just like everybody else who's calling this morning. You missed it just like me, didn't you? And you're the only one in your family left, aren't you?" I am. Well, except Andre. Is he there? He's still sleeping. Get him up and let me talk to him. No, I'm going to let sleep, Freddy. Lionel didn't dare ask about man. Those dedicated to the church could have missed the rapture. I'm coming over there then, Freddy said. Well, you and I, we both learned a hard lesson today, didn't we, boy? Yes, sir. I'm going to talk some sense to that uncle of yours, and then we're going to be ready for all the people coming to this little lighthouse looking for answers. Everyone in Lionel's church referred to this little lighthouse at one time or another. So nobody else from the church got left behind but us three, Lionel asked. Oh, I'll be there. There'll be more, Freddy said. So far, all I've heard from our neighborhood people, praying for everybody else who knew the truth to act upon it before it was too late. But I imagine there'll be more of us turning up. What do we do now, Freddy? Are we going to hell? I don't know for sure, boy, but I aim to find out. And for starters, I'm coming to talk to that uncle of yours. It will be at least an hour before Freddy could get to Mount Prospect, Lionel knew. He wanted to turn on the TV and see what the news said about the disappearances. Must have caused all sorts of chaos, but first he about dialed the number Vera Z had given him for Vicky Byrne. Lionel heard desperation in her voice. He identified himself and she immediately said, Clarice is gone, isn't she? Disappeared. Yes. And your parents and what, a couple of younger kids? All gone. Oh God. That's what I think too. It was God. There's no doubt about that. What are you going to do, Lionel? I don't know. My uncle's here and a guy is coming from church. I'll be all right. What are you going to do? I'm going to my parents' church. I called there and a guy named Bruce Barnes is waiting for me. He says there's still hope. Hope for us, for everybody left behind. Really? That's what he said. He didn't want to talk about it on the phone, but I'm going there. It's not far from your house. The white church? I think it's brick. You know what I mean? The white people's church. I guess I'm going this afternoon. Why don't you come too? I might. Later after Freddy arrived and roused Andre, Lionel answered yet another call. Washington's, he said. Cameron Williams of Global Weekly calling for Lucinda Washington. My mom's not here. Is she still at the office? I need recommendation for where to stay near Waukegan. She's nowhere, Lionel said. I'm the only one left. Mama, Daddy, everybody else is gone. Disappeared. Are you sure? Their clothes are here right where they were sitting. My daddy's contact lenses are still on top of his bathrobe. Oh man, I'm sorry, son. That's all right. I know where they are, and I can't say I'm say I'm surprised. You know where they are? If you know my mom, you know where she is too. She's in heaven. The man sounded unconvinced. Yeah, well, are you all right? Is there someone to look after you? My uncle's here, and a guy from our church. Probably the only one who's still around. You're all right then? I'm all right. From the basement, Lionel heard first laugh from his uncle. He used Freddy pulling a practical joke on him. Freddy sure it was no joke. Andre began to cry, then scream, raced up the steps, pushing past Lionel. Tell me it isn't true. It isn't true, Lionel. It's true, Uncle Andre. In the living room, Andre threw to the side of his brother-in-law's pajamas, robe, and all other material items. Lionel poked his head in. You don't want to go upstairs, Andre. But Andre ignored him and charged up there. Lionel heard loud sobbing, swearing, and doors opened and slammed shut. Andre barged it back down. Where's your daddy keep his truck keys? He demanded. Why? My car is trash. Now where are they? Andre's eyes were wild. On the hook next to the refrigerator, but Andre grabbed the keys, dropped them, and scooped them up again, and hurried out. Aren't you going to get dressed? Lionel called after him, apparently making Andre remember he didn't even have his wallet. Andre ran back in and gathered up his pants and walled his shoes and bound up back out in his underwear. He roared away in the truck, and Lionel wanted to ever see him again. Freddy asked if Lionel wanted to go back to the church with them. No, sir, I'm going to stay here and watch the news. Then I'm going to meet a friend of Clarice's. I'll check on you later, Freddy said, and Lionel thanked him. He made his way slowly into the living room, sat on the couch, watching the horrible news from around the world. Sitting across from his father's empty bedclothes, Lionel had never felt so alone. So yeah, that's the 8th chapter of Lionel and Uncle Andre. Yeah, take care, everybody. And I'll update you guys to chapter 9, and we'll see Ryan's reaction to all of this. Take care, everybody. Another video for my Storytime channel.